You're listening to DraftKings Network.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
So one of the things I didn't get to ask Jake Fisher because we ran out of time with him is who overpaid more? Was it the Knicks for Mikal Bridges, 5 first-round picks and a pick swap? Or was it the Blazers for Denny effing Avdia? 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and Malcolm Brogdon, who I think is going to have value on the trade market. And it got me thinking, what's the most you overpaid for any item? And you're like, you knew, man, like this is too much.
Game 5 of the Stanley Cup final.
How much?
But thankfully, I knew that in the secondary market, even though that was a pretty penny, it was going to be the best deal around because of Game Time's price match guarantee. Yeah, the Game Time app, it's the best place in the secondary market. It's what I use all the time. And if you're listening to my voice and you realize it's summer concert season, now the finals are over and I can finally go about working on these vacations with the family, do what I do. I'm going to Chicago this weekend. I'm certainly going to set the Game Time geotag to Chicago to see what's going around the town.
I had mine on, and it was telling me about things that were happening in the Bay Area.
Yeah, and if you see the specific venues, you can click those seats, see what your panoramic view would be from those seats.
I love that.
Use the code DAN when you create a brand new account for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guarantee. The guarantee is a big part of this because if for whatever reason you do find a better price out there, Game Time will match 110%.
Wait, that's more than 100%.
That is more. That is what I give every show.
Can they do that?
110%. They guarantee it, my man. And if you ever need to actually test this theory, their customer service, in my experience, it's been pretty spectacular. So use that promo code DAN with your first purchase. Get $20 back. Game Time, my personal favorite secondary market ticket place.
I use Game Time to take Claire to a stage play this weekend. It was Bluey's Big Play.
Oh,
nice.
That was a really nice show. It was really fun.
Have a moment.
Yeah.
Disney better do whatever it can. They have a licensing deal right now. They better purchase that property. That is a red hot property right there.
Yeah, get some rides at the theme park too. Let's go.
I need that.
How about that?
Game 4 of the NBA Finals, I mean. Metal Rock didn't get behind that one. Yeah, they didn't get behind that one. That was me all the way, and wow, I should have stayed my ass home for that one.
Because that was the night we thought it was going to end. And instead it was a demolishment that you had to watch from the Comerica banks.
Literally Cloud 9.
I should have taken a picture. I saw Juju. Our seats were legit. It's us and then the ceiling.
And Sting.
You
look to your right, and Sting was there in his crow get-up. And he asked you, first time?
Anyone else? Because I'll give you what mine was. The worst overpaid by percentage for sure. A bottle of Coca-Cola at the top of the Empire State Building. Holy shit. You want to talk about a captive market. They're like,
ooh,
yeah.
Can we prices right this? $8.
$12.
$6.
$1. What year was
99
this?
cents.
What year was this?
This was...
Bottle or can?
It was a bottle.
Ooh, all right. Was it Mexican?
Nope. Regular plastic 20-ounce bottle.
Oh, a plastic bottle.
It was 2012, 2013.
I would say $5.50.
Too high.
$13.25.
Who had 9? Did anyone have 9?
I said 8.
Just win.
Whoa.
$9.
2012?
$9. Dude, like
for an American Coca-Cola
That means
Classic?
it's $60 now.
you're like, here's the thing. You have to pay at the bottom before you get to the top.
Appreciate
That's number one. So they know you sound like you could leave and go get another one somewhere else. Number two, 99% of the people coming here are tourists, many of whom are tourists from another country, many of them who are tourists from another country with a stronger economy than ours, or stronger currency than ours. So it's like $9 in my 1,600 perchechos. This is amazing. This is a great deal. You know, this is a made-up currency that just had a perchecho.
I mean,
Did
I got
your
a
ears
question.
pop?
Sorry about that. I have a question. I have a serious change of gears question. And I don't want to put you in this position, and you don't have to answer because you run in the NBA circles.
Okay.
Jontay Porter is suspended for his life. Mm-hmm. Miles Bridges and Kevin Porter Jr. have jobs.
Yep.
I take it personal, the domestic violence, more than, I mean, the gambling, I get it. But how are these brothers allowed to be back in the NBA and the gamblers not?
I will answer that question. First of all, the Porter Jr. situation, after the initial reporting, Like, there's a lot of stuff there that is just a little unclear. It's not like Miles Bridges where it was very straightforward. But I'm going to give a very straightforward business answer that I know a lot of people are going to, this does not represent my hierarchy of what's worse in life. But when you talk about sports, you can literally do anything. The one thing you cannot do is give people the impression that what we're watching is not real. Right? Like, you can murder and and all these things. And we can find a way of saying, wow, what an awful person, but man, what a jump shot. What we cannot do is say, did he throw that one? Yeah. Is he on the level or not?
Unless, of course, it's an official in the 2006 NBA Finals, and then we just move along.
Well, I mean, like, they got his ass up out of here.
Yeah, but the questions still remain about all that stuff. But I would say,
the conference finals. It wasn't the finals because he never did a finals game, even though the NBA said he was one of our best referees or whatever. But like, I'm going to tell you, that's why all this season we've had guys either implicitly or explicitly declare these guys are on the take, right? Jamal Murray throwing the heat pack and then saying, and doing the money sign. You had Coach Darko of the Raptors saying if they just wanted the Lakers to win, they should have just let us know. We would have stayed at home. Yeah, Rudy Gobert doing oh, yes, we know the gambling is happening. You cannot do that. I was like, that's my number one thing I said to Adam Silver and Joe Dumars. You got to crack down on that because we cannot have people say what we're watching on TV isn't real. That doesn't mean it's a worse thing in life to do, Juju, than putting your hands on a woman, obviously.
One has criminal charges associated with it,
yep,
where the other one's being policed by the league itself. But if the game itself loses its integrity,
right,
it's a big stain. That's not to say that the other things aren't a big stain, but the other things are manageable from a game integrity standpoint.
I'm more surprised that Porter Jr., his first deal, wasn't like, hey, minimum, come back in, kind of make everyone feel, hey, I'm a changed man. Like, it was just like, here's a lot of money, bro. Which to me, that's the always thing when I look at guys that mess up. And again, I want to acknowledge that there's some stuff in that story that is unclear. But when guys mess up, there has to be the feeling of basketball mortality, meaning, oh, this shit that I thought was going to be here forever and I'm going to make all this money, whatever, it can be taken away from me like that. And so when you get it back, it has to be like, oh, thank God. I'll take this minimum. I'll do whatever it takes. When you walk back in the door and it's like, here's $20 million or whatever, it's like, all right, man, like, I knew they messed me up. Like, how I was always good for this? There's a part of it where I don't know if there's a lesson that gets learned because regardless of whether he did everything that he was accused of or not, he put himself in a position. And I don't know if you learn from those experiences if at the end of it, here's a big bag of money.
I also think that this stuff in this country is still relatively new in terms of it being legalized in a lot of these states. Whereas if you try to hold up examples in tennis, although they're pretty strict over there, or in the Premier League over in England, where they've had legalized regulated sports betting for decades on end, and you have a player like Paquetá, who's a really good Brazilian piece for West Ham. He's got a gambling thing around him. It's actually a pretty funny scandal in that there's questions to whether or not he bet on himself to get a yellow card. And so you wonder how much that affects the game.
That's lit, man.
Yeah. But this stuff is surrounding him, and he's still playing. I do think the more this stuff is in the public space, the more it gets regulated, the more the punishments will ease up down the line. But I think as these things start in this country, you have to be very strong because you don't have the several decades leg up that the other European countries do. But I get it. Jeremy, I want to talk to you about the Miami Heat right now because I'm in a couple of group chats and there's a lot of folks sweating.
I believe young Tasha had a point that he wanted to piggyback.
Real quick, just on the domestic abuse side of things, like, don't we think that if the league treated it stronger, that players in turn and fans would react stronger to this, that maybe players would avoid putting themselves quote unquote in this position rather than because
you're suggesting that the league has more power than say like the actual authorities.
Yeah. I am, because that's ultimately what ends up happening here. The authorities have no power and don't make arrests a lot of the time or convictions when it comes to domestic abuse. And these guys, a guy like Kevin Porter Jr. getting all of that money, the league has the power to make that not
You're
happen.
saying it can help in addition to,
yeah,
as opposed
absolutely.
to the specter of being thrown in jail.
Yeah.
I would say two things. One is these things are collectively bargained. You can't just say, hey, man, I don't like what you were accused of doing. I'm gonna take matters in my own hands. You can't do that unilaterally, number one. Number two, probably more importantly, I don't think anyone who gets in those situations ever pauses. Wait a second, I could be suspended for 3 years if I should just be cooler head should prevail. A lot of times there's alcohol
in the day-to-day of your
what
life.
Jeremy is suggesting is if it can help, like why can't you try it? And I think it means explaining in a collectively bargained sport why they can't do it immediately, and maybe it is something that is on the horizon. We do not know.
I've also seen now in both the NFL when it came to Colin Kaepernick, in the MLB when it came to Trevor Bauer, all of the owners just sort of decide, we're not going to welcome these guys back.
Yeah, no,
you
can collude.
Open arms. You're going to collude.
Yeah.
Every league does that all the time. I'm not talking about. Yeah, and look, the reality is actual legislation within the league would be better here to set an example to show, hey, you'd be suspended for X, Y, Z. But I guess the frustration that started with what Juju brought up that extends to a lot of people probably listening to this conversation is like Miles Bridges and Kevin Porter Jr. did these heinous things that put them in a position to where they should not be just welcomed back to play in this league for millions and millions and millions.
You could argue that both of them, there was a collusion of sorts. They sat out for a year.
Sure.
So, like, you could argue that happened. For Bridges, he went back to his original team, so it's not like someone else. I think Porter Jr.
It's the money on Porter that really sends it over the edge.
Now here's a question I asked on.
And also players that have more of a market than Porter does, too. We haven't had, like, the superstar. We haven't had the Pete Rose moment in the NBA to really see, like, hey, league, are you prepared to not let a player the likes of John Morant play another game?
Yeah, we've got two different Porters going in this conversation.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I understand the confusion there, but they haven't had that moment either.
So I'm going to ask a question I asked on this very show years ago after one of these countless incidents of domestic violence, and we've been moaned that in this country we're awful, like our laws don't do enough to protect women. And I said at the time, what country does? What's the country that has great domestic violence / sexual assault laws on the books? Because I'm struggling. Like I keep hearing, oh man, we do a terrible job. Like, who does a good job of this? It feels.
But don't we want to be the best? Like,
no,
I don't.
I get it.
Yeah, but I don't necessarily think the NBA is going to be on the forefront of making us the best.
I'm asking Jeremy. This is what I'm asking. I'm asking, point to the country that we can at least mimic what they're doing. Yeah, we want to be the best. Let's start with who's the best. Let's mimic.
I don't know. I thought we were the leaders. I thought that our biggest corporations and cultural leaders are the ones that are supposed to try to set the example in theory here. I know that we don't. I know there's a level of defeatism that comes with that. But it is frustrating to see. That's all I'm trying to say is being in this position, looking at the league that you want to love and celebrate and seeing these things celebrated is frustrating.
More uplifting content next.
Stugotz here from my friends over at Simply Safe. Imagine a burglary at your home. If you're picturing a shady character sneaking about under the cloak of night, you may be surprised to learn that according to the FBI, most break-ins happen during broad daylight and spike during the summer months as more homes sit unattended and the days grow longer. That's why you need Simply Safe Home Security now. Simply Safe is the only security company I trust my own home and family's protection, offering me peace of mind whether I'm home or away. I have had Simply Safe in my home for many, many years now. I love the fact that I have such peace of mind when I am away because I have access to my entire house. With Fast Protect monitoring and Live Guard protection, Simply Safe agents can act within 5 seconds of receiving your alarm and can even see and speak to intruders to stop them in their tracks. Protect your home this summer with 20% off any new Simply Safe system when you sign up for Fast Protect monitoring. Just visit simplysafe.com/DLB. That's simplysafe.com/DLB. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Don Batard.
Chris Cody does an impression. Just be careful.
Dangerous game here. This is a dangerous game.
I don't want to play this game.
No, he was saying, man, I could do such a great Kendrick Perkins.
No, I don't want to play this game.
He's like, man, I can talk just like him.
This is who we're going to trust with
you
this.
do it. Let's let Amin do it, I think.
Stugotz.
I think you could do it, Chris, because you did a great Charles Barkley. You're 1 for 1 there.
Did no one just hear the segment we just did with Amin? We cannot be taking
judgment is not the best.
Counsel from the local drunk on whether or not you should do the impersonation of a black man stumbling over his words. Like, you don't see the bad judgment in that.
There was.
Moses Moody? Moody Moses? Moses?
Don't.
Moody?
You need that. It sounds
Chris.
worse.
Be careful, man.
We cannot do this. It's too close to the line. This is where the line is. Something legitimately funny can't be funny because we're scared our ginger's going to do something racist by accident.
Carry the hell on, Dan.
Rachel.
Dan, the line is where we feel alive, though.
This is the Dan Batard Show with the Stugotz.
I promised more uplifting content after the break. Apparently, I was incorrect because I've been told Jeremy Taché has to talk about Miami Heat offseason. So, Jeremy, take it away.
Wow, that is not a fair setup at all.
Look, let me give you more bad news on the front end. It appears
it.
Brandon Montour is headed to the Seattle Kraken. Brandon Montour, that's courtesy of Shane O'Brien from the Missing Curfew boys over there. So tough break for a local market, but good for him to secure that bag. Miami, South Florida, and its sports scene right now, a little frustrated. It looks like we got Kulikov back, though.
Yeah, 4 years at 1.15 per year.
So he's going to close out his career over there. By the way, absolute unit. Was not familiar with his game.
Oh, yeah, he was big in Game 7, man.
Yeah, Jeremy.
That's pretty cool.
He saved the Panthers. Oh, wow.
When it comes to the Miami Heat, thus far, the only move that's been made is re-signing Kevin Love. He declined his player option, came back on a 2-year deal. Nothing has really changed. Haywood Highsmith and Caleb Martin, as we've mentioned, are free agents. There were the draft picks of Khalil Ware.
No one can give you a 3-minute stretch quite like Kevin Love can these days.
Oh, yeah.
There are 3-minute stretches that convince you if he's got the right matchup out there, this dude is the same guy he was in Cleveland.
The master of the outlet pass.
Great passer.
My biggest disappointment on draft night is discovering that Ware's first name is not Kal-El. I was like, oh, wow, he's like Superman. And then I was like, no, it's Khalil. I'm like,
but he has Kryptonian in his Instagram and Twitter bios.
Okay,
so it might be,
mixed messaging.
Maybe it's
great franchise
Khalil.
for him to land with. This is a guy that they question his passion for the game.
It is.
Yeah, I read the internet.
Yeah, it is a good space for him. He does stuff for the Heat that they just simply have not had for the last several years, which is athleticism at the 5, because you've been playing Bam
behind Bam.
Thomas
because you've
Bryant
been playing. You've been playing either over the last few years Omer Yurtseven or
who just got waived.
Dwayne Dedman.
Remember the Yurtseven
Thomas
takes?
Bryant. Oh yeah. Bam was out for a few weeks. He had 10 straight double-doubles, and everyone wanted to build the franchise around
He's available. Perfect 5 behind Bam.
But
was he on Dan's list, though?
Of top 12 centers?
Or Pat Riley's?
It was Stan Van Gundy.
Stan Van Gundy's list.
Yeah.
We all know Stan.
Yeah, I'm getting a little restless here. The group chats are starting to get restless, Jeremy.
So the today was always going to be one of the more frustrating days of the offseason if you're the Miami Heat, because they were never going to be in on the big free agents. Given where they are in terms of their salary, given where they are in terms of their draft capital and the ability to just shed salary, they were never going to be in on just signing guys who are available in unrestricted free agency. The move, if the Heat were going to make a splashy move this offseason, was always going to be a trade and seems to remain that way. Now, Donovan Mitchell has been the name floated. Jake was just on the show earlier saying it seems like a done deal back to the Cavs.
Splash.
I am intrigued what you think about maybe why Donovan Mitchell hasn't signed quite yet, because now a lot of the suitors that were available to try to pursue him before have made their decisions and already cashed in on their capital. And the further things go along, the more a demand of a trade to Miami, or even I would only extend in Miami, makes that possibility seem real from Cleveland to Miami. But there are other guys out there. I don't know what the deal is going to be with, say, a Zach LaVine, who they say Chicago might need to attach a pick to in order to move. So maybe you don't have to blow up your whole team.
Yeah, he was rumored to go to Golden State.
Yeah.
And
then Golden State was like, nah, we're just going to cut Chris Paul instead, actually.
Pretty hilarious, actually.
It's crazy. And so I don't know what Miami's ultimately going to do here. I will tell you this.
Can't have Zach
from
LaVine be
from
the pot at
from
the
the
end of this
Heat
rainbow, dude.
perspective, if you listen to what Pat Riley had to say at the end of the year at his end of year press conference, his view was if Jimmy Butler had played more games and been motivated in a regular season alongside some of the other guys following suit, that they would have been 4, 5, 6 games better. And then in turn, at the top of the Eastern Conference last year, when you look around at the East, the only team that you know for sure has gotten significantly better is now Philadelphia with the addition of Paul George. Otherwise, it's a KCP to Orlando.
Right. But
It's
Philadelphia
the Knicks
would have been the 7th seed.
changing things. These teams have
Philadelphia
gotten
would
better.
have been the 7th seed that you would have been the 2 seed for, and Philadelphia would have done what they did.
Well,
which is beat you.
I mean, they beat you. Whatever. That's another debate for another time.
You're-
But
what-
the
you're-
East has gotten
You're
better.
giving off run it back vibes.
No, I'm not trying to. I'm trying to tell you what I think is the mentality
This
for Miami
is why
if
we're
they can't
running
get
it
their
back.
trade.
That's what Jeremy's telling us.
The reason they think
count
they
on
can.
Jimmy being healthier a year
Look,
further in.
The reports that you had come out when Jimmy said he wasn't going to sign an extension and was going to stay in Miami was quote unquote the most motivated like he's been to have a great regular season going into a contract year.
You're struggling delivering that sentence.
I'm just
into a
talking to
microphone.
you about what it is.
No,
right?
I appreciate
this is
it.
what's out there.
But
You asked me to
you're already
update.
defeated because you're now the Heat propagandist and you are spreading Heat
Hold on.
propaganda.
I got an important Jimmy Butler question. As you know, Jeremy, I'm a huge Brazil soccer fan. Been watching all their games in the Copa. Neymar's at every game in the box. No Jimmy Butler. Why?
He's at the X Games.
Why is he at the X Games?
He's doing everything.
His buddy's got some important shit going on in his life.
He was playing poker with Neymar, I think.
Neymar's his best friend.
Yeah, but he's not doing anything important other than just watching Brazil.
That's important, Mike.
But
that's important.
Neymar's not playing.
It's important to watch and to support. It's important. It's important to be there when Vinny goes like this into the camera. That's important. More important. Look at my skateboard. Oh, can you sign my sign? I don't even know who he was asking to sign his sign. Just some random kids. Some random kids at the park. Hey, I like your skateboard moves. You're really cool. Hey, are those airwalks you're wearing? Dope. Sign my No! No!
I will say, as like a Heat fan, get that guy as far away from Neymar as you can, because if he approaches, if he approaches the end of his career the way that Neymar is approaching it, you got bad vibes.
Shut your
there.
mouth. You don't speak bad of Neymar.
For the audio audience, what was that move that you just did?
I don't know. Skateboarding moves.
It was like
looking into the
hand to the temples.
Hand to the temples and sticking his tongue out.
It's a nanny boo boo.
Yes, he did. And he did it because them dirty bastards over there were trying to get. They got mad because he's too nice with it. He's too nice with it to try to get physical, and that happens a lot. Happens a lot when you're Brazil. When you're just better at everybody at everything, they get mad and like, you know what? I've got to go to the dirty
So
stuff.
you're gonna be cocky Brazil guy even when they're down.
Down? What are you talking about down?
I mean, they're kind of
big game tomorrow. Big game tomorrow, Mike.
Big win for the Porter.
On my flight from Phoenix to San Francisco to go see my family, a lot of Colombians on that flight because Colombia played in Phoenix the last game, and they were all like, "Oh, martes." I'm like, "Martes, I'll be there." Well, I won't be. Like in spirit, I will.
I really didn't want to give you guys the here's the Heat reasons to run it back.
It needed to be
I
said.
do want to ask Amin what the deal is on the Donovan Mitchell side of things.
I'm glad you asked that question. So for those who don't know, Donovan Mitchell has 2 years left on his deal. The last of that is a player option, which where the cap is, we expect him to say, to hell with that, I'm going to tear it up and become a free agent unless he signs an extension right now. So he's eligible to sign an extension, but he hasn't done that yet. Cleveland is in this weird place where the Garland-Mitchell thing doesn't quite work.
Mm-hmm.
One of them's got to go. Garland's under contract.
Garland always finds himself in that situation with that franchise.
I feel bad for him.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that he's due $37 million next year, so I don't feel that bad for him. But he's under contract for 4 more years. So they've got cost certainty with him. Mitchell, who many people believe to be the better player, but he's got the cost uncertainty going on. So when you say, Jeremy, they haven't signed an extension and all these other places are starting to eat up, basically make their plans for the near future, I believe one of two things. One is Cleveland is saying, look, let's give new head coach Kenny Atkinson an opportunity to play with these pieces before, we commit any which way. The other is, if you're Donovan Mitchell, you're like, I'll play it out. I'll see how it works. But we've just shrunk the universe of possibilities to more and more the places where I'd like to go. And one of them obviously is here.
What don't we know? Because I would assume that there are
What
some.
the aprons are. We still don't know that.
You got to find it out.
I guess you're hanging your hat on, well, Mitchell hasn't signed the extension yet, so maybe there's something there. And the other thing that you're hanging your hat on is, will Ishbia be rational about where his team is right now? Will he try to move Kevin Durant? He was pretty publicly strong against the notion that they were going to be selling anybody. I don't really think there's anything else there. And then we're all of a sudden taking the company line of having to practice patience with a situation down here where we're all out of patience.
So Steve Ballmer bought the Clippers in 2014. And this year, 10 years later, they finally had the moment of, I'm richer than the next 15 NBA owners combined, and even I can't spend my way out of this because it's not a money thing. It's the way the system is designed. It took them 10 years to find that sobriety. Matt Ishbia is not getting that sobriety in the next couple of years. They're going to go balls to the wall on everything until someone else, meaning a player, forces their hand and say, look, I don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah.
But
they're with a combination of the team being bad.
And I'm guessing that's why a player would say that. He would say that the team was great.
I mean, it depends on what you believe, but maybe there were whispers that Durant may already be there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think. I think he's fine, but also he's not like, oh, this is the best place ever. This is basketball nirvana.
Yeah.
I think
So is there a name that we're not considering that might be available, like outside of the Durant-Mitchell thing, that maybe you can keep an eye on?
Well, I mean, Jake Fisher told us Laurie Markkinen is one, but I don't know if that
That's like in a
tickles your
Trae
fancy.
Young class of.
Wow. How about
In my
by the
most desperate, maybe my fancy gets tickled.
Again, going back to the overpay. Denny Avdia, 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and Malcolm Brogdon, who's an asset. Mikal Bridges, 5 firsts and a pick swap. You're telling me DeJounte effing Murray goes for Larry Nance and 2 firsts, and that's it? That's it? No, Atlanta's like, we don't want much. We don't ask for much. We just give me a rotation guy and a couple of picks.
From a Hawk to a Pelican.
Forget what the calendar says. Football season is right around the corner. And that means Best Ball Week at DraftKings isn't far behind. DraftKings Best Ball Millionaire Contest is the biggest fantasy contest ever at DraftKings. 15 million guaranteed prize pool, with not one but 2 millionaires being crowned for first and second place. DraftKings is offering everyone a draft one, get one free special. Your $20 entry fee scores you a bonus ticket. Enter for a shot to be one of 2 millionaires crowned by DraftKings. Download the DraftKings app and use code DAN. That's code DAN for all customers who enter the NFL Best Ball $15 million contest to get a bonus ticket. Only during Best Ball Week, only on DraftKings.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY at 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. 18 and over in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. Eligibility restrictions apply. 1 per customer. Enter the Best Ball $15 million contest by 9/5/24 to get 1 bonus entry. $20 entry fee required. Reward expires at contest lock on 9/5/24. See terms at DraftKings.com/DFS.
Don Le Batard.
I don't like smelly either.
Stugotz.
Women stay home in the kitchen where they belong.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Just touched on a couple things earlier in the show. Roy, you mentioned that no teams took the opportunity to congratulate the Florida Panthers on winning the Stanley Cup. It's the first time in recent memory that we've gone an NHL draft without congratulating the Cup champion, but there are reasons for that. And yes, I am one of the 6 Florida Panther fans, and I'm always looking for the disrespect out there. But this was at the Sphere, and there was a lot of production that went along with these picks, and apparently there was an edict from up top that said no personal messages delivered at the microphone, just official business here. Now,
oh, that's ridiculous.
I got a quick question, Mike. So I know, but I mean, I don't think Amin knows. I don't think Juju knows. Like at the NHL draft, every team has to go up and congratulate the team that won the cup?
No, it's just a classy thing that you often see. Congratulations to our Cup champion that just won the Cup a couple days ago.
But 0 teams did it.
0 teams did it this year. It was odd, but apparently there were reasons for that. And one of the
Is it
reasons,
like when you're not supposed to dunk at the end of the game, even though you're up 20, like an unwritten rule?
kind of like that.
Okay.
Kind of like that. Now, teams have, like, on their social channels congratulated the Florida Panthers. We saw Tampa Bay did that, which I don't like that. Delete that. Take it back. I don't want it. But there was a really cool moment at the draft. I saw Dana White. He was asked about the NHL draft. Said, "Oh my gosh, that was like little kid stuff. What we got planned is going to blow them away.
Noche UFS is going to be huge."
Yeah, I can't wait for that. But one of the cool moments from the NHL draft that did happen at the Sphere was they were able to keep this a secret. Celine Dion came out and announced the Montreal Canadiens' first-round pick, and that was an immense pop over there. Could have been done anywhere outside of the Sphere, but given her ties to Las Vegas and Montreal, it was a really cool pop, and it was a really cool moment. It was one of the best things that I've seen, considering the battles that she has right now with health. But you mentioned that. The best thing that I saw from the weekend happened at Glastonbury with Michael J. Fox. Now, Amin, I know you're a Michael J. Fox fan.
Love him.
You must have seen this video already on social media from Glastonbury. Coldplay playing a headlining set at Glastonbury. Coldplay, huge, massive band, great seminal moment to headline Glastonbury. They did something totally unexpected, and they brought out Michael J. Fox to play with them during Fix You, which is pretty iconic. I don't know if you've seen the video mashup of someone taking the college football trailer and applying Coldplay's Fix You to it. It builds to a crescendo, and it does give you goosebumps. So this moment in particular, with Michael J. Fox kicking his leg as that song builds to crescendo was really just an epic moment. I want to show it to the audience real quick. I have goosebumps watching that back.
No, they cut the video off, but at the end of it, they have a photograph of Marty with his two siblings, and they're all back together.
Dude, Back to the Future. It was the Go Johnny Go 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 wasn't enough of a callback for you.
I need the little photo in
but
there.
the way that he times out the leg kick with the pyro and the instrumentation kicking in right then and there.
And then Lorraine and George kissed.
Oh, man. You didn't get goosebumps doing that? I felt like a big softie. I don't know.
I gotta go there someday.
I just almost cried watching that. Like, that was amazing.
Do it one more time. I'm just like, give yourself over to this moment.
It
because
was like such a great festival, too.
Yeah, this was unreal. Let's do it one more time. Maybe you'll find a place in your cold, dark heart to actually feel something here, Amin.
Biff Tannen got knocked out. It was crazy.
Guys, let Chris Martin handle the Back to the Future canon.
Wait for it.
That's how you direct a festival right there. Ever. It's a great shot.
Oh, it cuts off right before he says, you guys probably aren't ready for it, but your kids are going to love it.
You're really, like, I feel the goosebumps on my arm literally go down every time you start talking.
You mean to tell me?
You don't feel anything there? I felt something there.
You made a time machine out of a DeLorean?
Salute to Coldplay, bro. That was beautiful. That was amazing because they can use their platform to do anything they want to.
Yeah.
And for them to choose to do that, bro, that shows a great example of what we need more in the world, bro.
That was a great positive moment. I'm glad you highlighted that.
Great example, great positive moment. Great Scott!
You cracked me there. War of attrition, but I think you got it.
That was good. All right, you got it.
Nobody has a deeper bag than
I want to
Amin.
make references so bad, but I don't know any.
Oh, no!
Back to the Future?
Because of the youngness.
I've never seen it.
You've never seen Back to the Future?
I know. I need to watch. I've been on the ride at Universal.
R.I.P.
Back to the Future is
The Supreme Court just put us in Back to the Future, too.
Shout out to D.L. Hughley and Roy for introducing me to
We
that.
should watch Back to the Future with my sister and do an impromptu episode of Cinephile special
There's
edition.
no way that there's no way.
My
There's
bad.
no way it qualifies for
Blasphemy.
phobe.
Blasphemy.
Yeah, it is among the highest rated on Rotten Tomatoes movies of all time.
Wow.
All three of those movies. Because it's like it's the perfect story. It's the perfect story. It's funny. It's exciting. It's adventure.
Perfect
Doesn't it take place in the future that is now?
Back to the Future 2 does.
Okay.
Back to the Future 1, he goes back to 1955 accidentally, and he sees his parents.
Spoiler alert.
He sees his parents as high school teenagers.
Kissing?
Well.
He almost gets
Don't tell her. It's
Mom
complicated.
starts falling in love with the wrong guy. It's a little incestuous. And also, they filmed parts of the movie with Eric Stoltz instead of Michael J. Fox as Marty.
And then they had to stop and recast it because it was just like, this ain't working. This ain't it, they said.
This ain't it. Can you imagine Coldplay bringing out Eric Stoltz? I can't.
Well, first of all, he'd be a jerk. He'd be like, can you turn that on? Like he'd be given direction as opposed to just being happy for the moment. Eric Stoltz, a little bit of a jerk.
Turn on my monitor.
I did not know this about Eric Stoltz.
He would have mistimed the kick for sure.
Now there was a big motorsports weekend. NASCAR was in Nashville. Granted, I'm back into NASCAR now. I've never seen a finish like that. There were 300 laps in this thing, but I saw 350 because they kept crashing on the overtime restarts. And it was a war of attrition. Basically, if you pitted at the beginning of overtime, you ended up being in the conversation for the end because the race kept getting pushed back. I'm going to Chicago this weekend for the NASCAR race. I'm super excited about that. But in the eyes of the world, there really truly only is one motorsport, and that is Formula One, Jess.
I have a F1 minute here, and I don't feel confident in because I tried to give it a theme, and then I petered out. So we're going to see if
It was in Austria, right?
That's not what the theme is, though.
What could be the theme?
Well, maybe you'll find out. Or maybe you won't, because I did a bad job. From the town of Spielberg, it's lights out and away we go for the Austrian Grand Prix. Max hasn't lost a driver's championship since the Stone Age, and it's sitting on pole with the sprint wind in hand on Sunday. The Red Bull takes a commanding lead on lap 1 and avoids the pebbles, but Charles Leclerc has damage and comes back to the pit lane with a busted wing. Russell, Hamilton, Sainz, and Piastri are battling for the last spot on the podium. Verstappen seems to have the edge, but he loses time on a pit stop, and Norris is gaining on him. Verstappen and Norris are wheel to wheel, and it's bam, bam, into the corner. Norris and Verstappen make contact. Norris has to retire his car, and Verstappen has damage. George Russell takes the lead with mere laps to go. George Russell has to drive perfectly, and he does. Yabba dabba doo! In a shock to the world, George Russell wins the Austrian Grand Prix. Piastri and Sainz are on the podium. Max Verstappen receives a 10-second penalty, but keeps 5th place. Will his friendship with Lando continue? Will F1 ever penalize his driving style? We'll find out next week in Silverstone.
Whoa! Time to spare.
Jetsons.
Flintstones.
Oh.
Wow! You got those confused. Wow.
Team Edward.
Team Jacob.
Twilight?
But not really.
Thought we were doing a thing.
No, I didn't get them confused.
Okay, don't
It was a good joke.
It's making a joke. Either way, it's a dated
George
reference.
Russell won, and he said yabba dabba doo. No one knows why, inexplicably, over the radio.
It's the cocaine.
What?
What?
You've been a little off this segment. I can't lie.
Have I been
we're
on?
all like,
I've been on.
He's been very on.
On.
one thing that hasn't been on, a lot like the Brazilian national team, has been the U.S. men's national team.
Stop it. Incomparable.
Why? They drew, actually, 2 weeks ago. Based off of that alone, the in recent form is pretty similar.
Look, one team has to play one of the best teams in the world in order to keep its life alive.
And the other one's Brazil.
The other one's Brazil, exactly. Pretty much.
But so the U.S. play in Copa America today. They need a result. They need to have, more specifically, a better result than Panama has in their match. However, a couple breaks for the U.S. men's national team, especially if you're someone like me that says worst case scenario is maybe we add to a resume that's not worth bringing back in Greg Berhalter. Disastrous result for the U.S. men's national team against Panama in their match earlier. Greg Berhalter, you know where I stand on the guy. Terrible mistake bringing him back. And we're seeing all those things play out. And I think if you listen to people that have been covering the U.S. men's national team, they're really around this camp and they're saying, wow, vibes are so good. Everyone is so loose. You don't want that. It's bad. I'll tell you who's allowed to have a loose camp.
Brazil.
No, stop with the Brazil
Brazil's
stuff.
allowed to have a loose camp. That's how we do shit.
And we already know that they're not going to have a loose camp because Paul Maurice has said so. You win a championship like the Florida Panthers, you're allowed a loose camp. You're the U.S. men's national team. You're as talented as you've ever been, and you just drop a result against Panama. Tim Weah punches a dude. Tim Weah gets a red card. And while you don't want to blame that specifically on Greg Berhalter, do not deny me the ability to say it is a byproduct of the culture that he has created over there.
Loose camp, huh?
They wanted him brought back. The players universally wanted Greg Berhalter back. Why? Because they could walk all over the guy.
Let him do whatever.
Because they could have their loose camps. Because they could take their I'm going to make this about TikTok. They could take their TikToks and their selfie camera videos and all that stuff, and they could lose to the likes of Panama. U.S. men's national team is not good enough to be bossing around and getting behind a manager. In fact, you go the other way on these brats. You bring in a tough manager,
someone they hate,
to hold them accountable. You want them to hate Cam.
Oh, I hate coach.
You want them to hate it. But what are they going to do right now? They're going to luck into a Uruguay team that's already set in the knockout stages. Bielsa would have absolutely reveled in the ability to be the one that takes out Greg Berhalter, but he's suspended for this match. So now you don't have that tactical matchup, and you don't have the best players for Uruguay out there against the U.S. men's national team. And I will say, even though Wijnaldum has already came out and said, and you always have to take him with a grain of salt, that Greg Berhalter's job is safe no matter the result tonight. If the U.S. fails to reach the knockout stages, coming on the heels of that loss to Panama, you must sack this dude. He must not be brought back, because this is a tournament where you realize this is a competition that we're going to be up against in 2026. We're out here losing to Panama. We brought Greg Berhalter in to boss the likes of Panama because of the talent. You're losing straight up. It is bad tactics. It is a bad culture. It is a bad fit, and we all could have told you that several months ago.
Is this the same Eric Wijnaldum with the whole John Harkes thing?
Yeah.
Have you guys talked about that?
No.
Next.
Also, Greg has 2 Gs.
Stugotz here from my friends over at Simply Safe. Imagine a burglary at your home. If you're picturing a shady character sneaking about under the cloak of night, you may be surprised to learn that according to the FBI, most break-ins happen during broad daylight and spike during the summer months as more homes sit unattended and the days grow longer. That's why you need Simply Safe Home Security now. Simply Safe is the only security company I trust my own home and family's protection, offering me peace of mind whether I'm home or away. I have had Simply Safe in my home for many, many years now. I love the fact that I have such peace of mind when I am away because I have access to my entire house. With Fast Protect monitoring and Live Guard protection, Simply Safe agents can act within 5 seconds of receiving your alarm and can even see and speak to intruders to stop them in their tracks. Protect your home this summer with 20% off any new Simply Safe system when you sign up for Fast Protect monitoring. Just visit simplysafe.com/DLB. That's simplysafe.com/DLB. There's no safe like Simply Safe.